the great Pelican King. A long time ago, I defeated whole armies and monsters of your kind. I am the part that represents Deborah's defense mechanism. I keep her innocence, her true self, safe from the horror of her existence. So yeah, I've been asked about this a lot. No, seriously, not just a little bit. Like, I think 30% of players actually went and replied to the original threads asking, like, who the fuck is this King Pelican, and what is he doing in Deborah's life and Ivy's life, and why does Ivy speak so much about King Pelican, and what is he to her? And of course, if you make it through the final, or at least from the main part of Ivy's mod, the final affinity quest, you actually get to meet, well, I'm gonna call it a remnant of the Pelican King, because trust me, you guys haven't seen the real Pelican King yet. He's coming, by the way. I'm working on Far Harbor DLC, and that DLC is gonna have, well, I'm gonna keep it at that. Anyway, the King Pelican, what does he represent? It would be far too easy to just say that here is a little girl that has a spirit animal that protects her. I mean, it's so 90s to have a spirit animal, right? It would be a gross oversimplification of what's going on inside Deborah's mind, and what was going on inside her mind when she was still a raider, and what happened as she turned into Ivy, and the role that the king took after she was transformed into, well, what can only be called basically an abomination. Seriously, she is an abomination. If you think that she is not, just imagine somebody scooping out the brain from your head and putting it into an electrical component. Just imagine that type of horror, waking up not being able to feel anything in the way that you used to feel it. There's a common theme that goes around body image and psychology, and your body is very, very much a part of your psychology. I mean, or at least of the way that you see yourself and your own being. Do you just remember when one of your teeth fell out? You know, it fell out and there was a hole in there and it had to be filled up. And once that happens, you go with your tongue for days and you're just feeling there at that hole, getting used to your own body again. So imagine having that feeling of a missing tooth everywhere. Your entire body is different. And imagine the horror that accompanies with that. And I think the only people that can imagine that is people that actually became handicapped later in life. That how much of a huge impact just being grossly handicapped already is, right? And that's the category that I place Ivy in, that I see her in. That's trauma, man. That's like pure trauma. So yeah, Deborah, before she turned into Ivy, she was schizophrenic. She had multiple personality disorder, and one of the personalities inside of her were the Pelican King, and he had a very, very specific role. His role was to keep the innocent Deborah persona that's still alive inside Ivy away from all the horror that Deborah later in life perpetrated herself. So here we have Deborah. She's a raider in a post-apocalyptic world. She kills, burns, loots people. This was one bad raider. that did a lot of really bad things. And I'm not sure if you're aware of how PTSD works. I'm not a psychologist myself, so I'm not even going to pretend to know anything about it. I just know that it interests me a lot. But the way that I understand it is that PTSD is often seen in people that committed acts that they thought they were incapable of committing. And this is very important to realize about Ivy, that she has a personality inside her. She has memories of doing things that no normal humans would do. Pillaging, raping, looting, killing, stealing, every bad thing that can come to mind or has been written about in popular literature and even ancient literature. Those bad things she engaged in, and that's something that a regular human could never forgive themselves for. So when there's a battle and the great Pelican King comes with his armies, he's fighting to protect. And he's fighting to protect innocent Deborah. And with that, I hope that I made this just a tiny little bit more clear. Why the king is so important to Ivy, because it's the only personality within Ivy that served a purpose that could be considered good, right? So Ivy will really hook into that, and that's why the King Pelican is so important to her,